Jake wakes up to make his wife Emma's birthday perfect, but her cold words shatter him. "You're not invited to my party." A single Instagram post reveals her betrayal, sparking a calculated, legal revenge that flips her world upside down. Will Jake reclaim his dignity, or will Emma's new life outshine her past mistakes? Jake's alarm buzzed at 6:15 a.m., slicing through the quiet of his Miami apartment. He didn't hit snooze. Today was Emma's 30th birthday, and he wanted it to be perfect. Not because he craved grand gestures, but because he loved her, steadily, reliably, the way he always had. Their marriage had hit a rough patch lately, with Emma pulling away, her eyes glued to her phone, her laughter reserved for someone else's texts. But Jake, a 32-year-old mechanic with a knack for fixing what's broken, believed today could shift things back to how they used to be. He slipped out of bed, careful not to wake her, and padded to the kitchen. The soft hum of the coffee maker filled the air as he brewed her favorite hazelnut latte. Oat milk, a touch of sugar, just how she liked it. He'd spent weeks saving for a custom necklace she'd lingered over online, a delicate silver chain with a tiny pendant shaped like a wave, a nod to their first date on South Beach. It sat wrapped in a small box, hidden in his nightstand. He imagined her face lighting up when she opened it, maybe even a flicker of the old warmth in her eyes. Back in the bedroom, he set the steaming mug on her nightstand and leaned down to kiss her forehead. "Happy birthday, love," he whispered. Emma didn't stir. No sleepy smile, no mumbled 5 more minutes like she used to. Just silence. Jake brushed it off. She was never a morning person. He headed to the shower, already planning the rest of the day. He'd reserved a spot at that new bistro on 5th Street, the one she'd called romantic after scrolling through its Instagram page. Just the two of them, no distractions, a chance to reconnect. By 7:30, Emma was awake, sitting up in bed, the latte in her hands, but her attention elsewhere. Her thumb flicked across her phone screen, a faint smile tugging at her lips as she typed. Jake sat on the edge of the bed, trying to catch her eye. "So, I was thinking," he started, keeping his tone light. "How about dinner tonight? I booked that place you liked, the one with the outdoor lights." Emma didn't look up. "Oh, I've got plans already," she said, her voice flat, like she was declining a work meeting. Jake's stomach tightened, but he kept his face neutral. "With your friends?" he asked, hoping it was just a girls' night. She set the phone down, finally meeting his gaze, her expression cool and deliberate. "Yeah, I'm throwing a party tonight, but you're not invited." The words landed like a punch he didn't see coming. Jake blinked, his mind scrambling to process. "What?" he said, not because he hadn't heard, but because he couldn't believe it. Emma shrugged, unapologetic. "It's a small thing. I just want people who vibe with me, you know? No drama." Her tone was final, like she'd rehearsed it. Jake stared at her, searching for a crack in her resolve, a hint she was joking. There was none. The air in the room felt heavier, the hum of the AC suddenly too loud. He could have argued, could have demanded to know what she meant by no drama. He could have pointed out the years he'd spent showing up for her, driving her to work when her car broke down, staying up late to talk through her fights with friends, planning every detail of their life together. But something in her eyes, sharp and detached, told him it wouldn't matter. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a choice. Jake stood, his movements slow, deliberate. He walked to his nightstand, opened the drawer, and pulled out the small wrapped box with the necklace. He held it for a moment, its weight heavier than it should have been. Then he set it on the bed beside her, the wrapping paper crinkling softly. "Happy birthday," he said, his voice low, steady, betraying none of the storm building inside him. Without another word, he turned and left the room. He didn't go far. The garage was his refuge, a cramped space filled with tools and the faint smell of motor oil. He sat on an old stool, staring at the concrete floor, replaying her words. "You're not invited." It wasn't just about the party, it was a declaration. She didn't want him in her world anymore. Jake's phone buzzed in his pocket, a work text about a client's car, but he ignored it. His mind was elsewhere, piecing together the distance that had grown between them. The late nights, she claimed, were girls' dinners. The way her phone was always face down now. The excuses, tired, stressed, busy. He wasn't naive, but he'd trusted her. Maybe that was his mistake. By evening, the sound of music drifted from the backyard. Pop beats, laughter, the clink of glasses. Jake stayed in the garage, not ready to face whatever was happening outside. But curiosity, or maybe masochism, pulled him to the window. He parted the blinds just enough to see. Fairy lights strung across the patio glowed against the dusk. A group of people, younger, trendier, milled around with wine bottles and cocktails. And there was Emma, in a red dress she hadn't worn in years, the one he used to tease her about because it always turned heads. She was dancing, her movements loose, carefree, her arm draped around a guy, tall, built, with a cocky grin. Their bodies were too close, her hand lingering on his waist, her laugh too intimate. Jake's chest tightened, but he didn't look away. He needed to see it, to let the truth sink in. His phone buzzed again, this time with a notification from Instagram. Against his better judgment, he opened it. Emma's story was live, a reel of the party in full swing, her friends cheering, a cake with candles, and then, a clip of her leaning into that guy, their lips meeting in a kiss that wasn't shy or accidental. The caption read, "Living my truth." Jake's thumb froze over the screen. The necklace, the coffee, the dinner reservation, they felt like relics from a life that no longer existed. He closed the app, his jaw tight. Anger simmered, but it wasn't loud or explosive. It was cold, focused, like the moment before a wrench snaps a bolt free. Jake didn't yell or storm outside. Instead, he grabbed a duffel bag from the garage shelf and started packing: clothes, laptop, wallet, passport. Essentials only. He moved with purpose, each item a step toward clarity. Emma was building a new life without him, and he wasn't going to beg for a place in it. By 9 p.m., the party was still raging, but Jake was done. He tossed the bag into his truck, the engine rumbling to life as he pulled out of the driveway. He didn't leave a note or send a text. Let her have her party, her new vibe, her new guy. Jake drove to his friend Ian's place on the edge of the city, the Miami skyline fading in his rearview. As the road stretched out, a strange calm settled over him. Emma had handed him an exit, and he was taking it, not with tears or fights, but with a quiet resolve to reclaim his own life. Jake woke up on Ian's couch, the hum of a ceiling fan pulling him from a restless sleep. It was 5 a.m., the morning after Emma's birthday party, and the sting of her words, "You're not invited," still burned. Ian's spare room in his modest Miami duplex was a far cry from the home Jake had shared with Emma, but it felt like a lifeline. He grabbed his phone, the screen lighting up with no missed calls, no text from her. Just the Instagram app, taunting him with last night's reel still saved in his notifications. He didn't watch it again. He didn't need to. Instead, Jake opened his laptop and started digging. He wasn't the type to wallow, but he needed answers. Not guesses, not assumptions, but proof. Emma's public Instagram profile was a goldmine of carelessness. Her stories from the party were still up, a parade of carefree moments. Clinking wine glasses, a neon-lit cake, and that guy, Logan, grinning as he spun her on the makeshift dance floor. One clip showed Emma laughing as someone shouted, "Get it, birthday girl," before she leaned in for that kiss. Bold and unapologetic. Jake's jaw tightened, but he kept scrolling. Another story from her friend Cassie's account caught his eye. A quick pan of the party with Emma's voice in the background, saying, "This is what freedom feels like." The caption, "New vibes only." Freedom. The word hit Jake like a rogue wave. Freedom from what? From him? From the life they'd built? He'd spent years being her rock, paying bills when her freelance gigs fell through, driving across town to pick her up from late-night outings, listening to her vent about her chaotic friends. And now, freedom. He closed the app and searched for Logan's name, cross-referencing tags from Emma's posts. It didn't take long. Logan Ruiz, a personal trainer at a high-end gym in South Beach, had a profile packed with shirtless selfies and client testimonials. Emma had liked every post for the past 3 months. Jake's gut twisted, not from jealousy, but from the clarity of it all. This wasn't a one-night slip. It was a shift, deliberate and deep. He needed more than social media clues. Jake found a legal data recovery service online, one that could pull deleted texts and call logs from cloud backups. It cost $200, but closure wasn't cheap. By noon, the software was running, syncing with Emma's phone data through their shared cloud account. She'd never bothered to change the password. The first batch of messages loaded, and Jake braced himself. Texts between Emma and Cassie stretched back weeks. "Logan gets me," Emma wrote in one. "Jake's just there, like furniture." Cassie's reply, "Girl, live your life. You deserve better." Another message, dated a month ago, showed Emma sending Cassie a screenshot of Logan's flirty text. "Can't wait to see you at the gym, birthday girl." Emma's response, counting down the days. Jake leaned back, the laptop screen glowing in the dim room. Each message was a brick in a wall he hadn't seen being built. Emma had planned this, her party, her new life, her rejection of him. He found a voice note from Cassie, Timestamp 2 weeks ago. Tell Jake it's a small thing, no plus ones. He won't make a scene. Emma's reply, casual and cutting. He'll just say okay and sulk. It's fine. Jake's hands curled into fists, not from anger, but from the realization that she'd banked on his silence, his restraint. He'd been predictable, and she'd used it. He kept digging. A call log showed Emma and Logan talking daily, sometimes for an hour, always when Jake was at the shop fixing cars. Another text to Cassie, sent the morning of the party. I'm done pretending with Jake. Tonight's my night. Jake closed the laptop, his mind racing but clear. This wasn't about a single party or a single kiss. Emma had checked out of their marriage long before last night, and he'd been too trusting to see it. Ian knocked on the doorframe, holding 2 coffees. You good, man? He asked, eyeing Jake's setup. Jake nodded, though his voice was tight. Just figuring things out. Ian set a mug down. That Logan guy, she's been tagging him at that new gym she joined. Saw him in her stories before. Thought he was just some trainer. Jake's eyes narrowed. New gym. Ian nodded. Yeah, that fancy one by the beach. She switched a few months back. Jake hadn't known. Emma used to complain about her old gym's equipment, but she'd never mentioned a change. Another piece of her life he wasn't part of. By afternoon, Jake was on the move. He drove to his bank, a small branch near the shop, and checked their joint accounts. Emma had made a $500 withdrawal the day before, likely for the party. He opened a private account, transferring his savings, money he'd earned from overtime shifts. It wasn't spite, it was survival. If Emma wanted her freedom, she'd need to fund it herself. He called his boss next, requesting a week off. Personal stuff, he said, and his boss didn't pry. Jake's next call was to a divorce lawyer, a no-nonsense woman named Carla he'd found online. I need to know my options, he told her, scheduling a meeting for the next day. That evening, Jake sat on Ian's patio, the Miami skyline a distant glow. His phone buzzed, Emma's first text since he'd left. Hey, you okay? You just disappeared. He stared at the screen, tempted to reply, to call her out on the messages, the kiss, the lies. But he didn't. Silence was sharper. He muted her number and pocketed the phone. Let her wonder. Let her feel the weight of his absence. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Jake made a decision. He wouldn't confront Emma, not yet. Confrontations gave her power, a chance to twist the narrative, to play the victim. Instead, he'd build his case, quietly, methodically. He reopened his laptop, saving screenshots of every text, every story, every call log. Not for revenge, but for protection. Emma would rewrite this story when it suited her, and Jake wasn't going to be caught off guard. The night stretched on, and Ian joined him outside, cracking open a beer. What's your next move? He asked. Jake took a sip from his own bottle, the cold liquid grounding him. I'm done being her backup plan, he said. She wants Logan, her new life, her freedom. She can have it, but I'm not sticking around to watch. Ian nodded, no judgment in his eyes. You deserve better, man. Jake didn't respond. He didn't need better yet. He just needed to be free of her. Jake sat across from Carla, his divorce lawyer, in her downtown Miami office, the hum of a printer in the background. It was 2 days after Emma's birthday party, and he'd spent the morning organizing evidence, screenshots of her text with Logan, call logs, Instagram clips. Carla, a sharp woman in her 50s, scanned the files on her tablet. This is solid, she said, tapping the screen. Infidelity's clear, but Florida's no-fault divorce state. We can use this to protect your assets. Jake nodded, his focus razor-sharp. I just want out clean, he said. No drama, no games. Carla jotted a note. We'll draft a petition, split, everything fair. You've already moved your savings, smart. Next, we'll tackle the apartment lease and joint credit cards. Jake left the meeting with a plan. File for divorce, secure his finances, and let Emma face the consequences of her choices. Back at Ian's place, he checked his phone. 3 new texts from Emma. Jake, where are you? Followed by, this is weird, just talk to me. The third, you're acting like a kid. He didn't respond. Her words were bait, meant to pull him into an argument where she could deflect or justify. Jake wasn't playing. He blocked her number, not out of spite, but to keep his head clear. Every unanswered message was a step toward reclaiming his life. That afternoon, he drove to the auto shop where he worked, needing the distraction of routine. His co-worker, Miguel, was under a sedan, wrench clanking. You look like hell, man, Miguel called out, sliding from under the car. Jake forced a half-smile. Rough weekend. He didn't elaborate, but the shop's rhythm, tools buzzing, oil staining his hands, grounded him. Between tire rotations, he checked Emma's Instagram on a burner account he'd made. Her latest story showed her at the gym, posing with a smoothie, Logan's arm around her. The caption, "New Beginnings." Jake's stomach churned, not from pain, but from the audacity. She was parading her betrayal while he was still untangling their shared life. He dug deeper into the data recovery app. A new batch of messages loaded, revealing Emma's plans beyond the party. A text to Cassie from a week ago. "Logan's taking me to Key West next weekend. Jake won't even notice I'm gone." Another to Logan. "You make me feel alive again." Jake saved each one, his resolve hardening. He wasn't gathering evidence to hurt her. He was building a shield. Emma's narrative would shift when things fell apart, and he'd be ready. By evening, Jake met Ian at a taco truck near the beach, the air thick with salt and grease. Ian handed him a beer. "She called me," Ian said, cutting straight to it. "Asked where you were." Sounded rattled. Jake raised an eyebrow. "What did you say?" Ian shrugged. "Told her you're figuring things out." "She didn't like that." Jake took a sip, the bottle cold against his palm. "She doesn't get to dictate my moves anymore." Ian nodded, but his eyes lingered. "You sure you're good? This is heavy." Jake didn't answer right away. He wasn't good. Not yet. But he was moving forward, one deliberate step at a time. The next morning, Jake woke to a voicemail from the bank. Emma had tried to access their joint savings. Empty, thanks to his transfer. She'd left a message with the teller, demanding to know where the money went. Jake called Carla, who advised him to freeze the joint credit cards. "She's starting to feel the pinch," Carla said. "Stay ahead of her." Jake followed through, canceling 2 cards and removing his name from a third. He also contacted the apartment landlord, explaining he'd moved out. The lease was in Emma's name. She'd insisted on it to build her credit. Now, it was her problem. At noon, Jake's phone lit up with a call from an unknown number. He let it go to voicemail. It was Cassie, Emma's best friend. "Jake, Emma's freaking out. She didn't mean it to go this far. Can you just talk to her?" He deleted the message. Cassie's loyalty was to Emma, not the truth. He remembered her texts, egging Emma on, calling him boring. No, he wouldn't be swayed by guilt trips or fake apologies. That night, Jake scrolled through Logan's gym's website, curious about the man who'd upended his life. Client reviews praised Logan's charisma, but a few hinted at his reputation. Charming, but flaky, quick to move on when things got serious. Jake wasn't surprised. Logan was a spark, not a foundation. Emma would learn that soon enough. He closed the browser and opened a job board instead, searching for mechanic openings outside Miami. Maybe Tampa, maybe Orlando. A fresh start felt possible, even necessary. By the third day, Emma's social media shifted. No more party vibes or gym selfies. Her latest post was a cryptic quote. "Sometimes you don't see what's right in front of you." Jake didn't bite. He knew the pattern. Regret would come when her new life cracked, not before. He met with Carla again, signing the divorce petition. "She'll be served tomorrow," Carla said. "Expect a reaction." Jake nodded, ready for it. He wasn't hiding, but he wasn't chasing her either. As he drove back to Ian's, his phone buzzed again, an email from the data recovery service. A final batch of messages had loaded, including one from Emma to Logan, sent the night of the party. Jake left. "Guess I'm free now." Logan's reply, "Good. Let's make it a weekend to remember." Jake saved it, not for vengeance, but for the day Emma tried to rewrite history. He parked at Ian's, the city lights flickering in the distance. Emma thought she'd won, but Jake was rewriting his own story, one where he wasn't a footnote in hers. Jake leaned against the hood of his truck, parked outside Ian's duplex, the Miami heat pressing against him. It was 5 days since Emma's birthday party, and the divorce papers had been served that morning. Carla had called to confirm. A process server handed them to Emma at the apartment at 9 a.m. Jake hadn't heard from her directly, but her silence was louder than any text. He knew she was unraveling. Her Instagram had gone quiet. No new stories, no gym selfies with Logan. The absence of her usual posts felt like a confession. He spent the morning at the auto shop, swapping out a car's alternator, the work keeping his mind steady. His phone stayed in his locker, untouched, but when he checked it during lunch, there were 7 missed calls from an unknown number. No voicemails. He didn't call back. Instead, he opened the data recovery app, which had pulled another batch of Emma's messages. One, sent to Cassie the day after the party, read, "Logan's amazing, but Jake's gone." Like, gone. Did I mess up? Cassie's reply, "He'll come crawling back. Let him sulk." Jake's lips pressed into a thin line. They'd underestimated him, banking on his loyalty to pull him back into her orbit. Not this time. By afternoon, Jake drove to the bank to finalize closing their last joint account. The teller, a young guy named Diego, recognized him. "Your wife was here yesterday, asking about the savings," Diego said, keeping his voice low. "She wasn't happy." Jake nodded, signing the paperwork. "She'll figure it out." He walked out with confirmation that his finances were fully separate, a weight lifting he hadn't realized he'd been carrying. Next, he called the landlord again, verifying Emma was now solely responsible for the apartment's rent. She'd signed the lease. She could handle the $2,300 monthly payment, or not. Back at Ian's, Jake found a package at the door, his tools, mailed from the apartment. No note, just his name scrawled on the box. Emma must have found them in the garage and sent them, a small act of defiance or maybe guilt. He set the box aside and checked his email. A job offer from a Tampa auto shop had come through. Better pay, fresh city, new start. He replied, accepting, and felt a spark of something new. Possibility. Miami held too many ghosts now. That evening, Ian grilled burgers on the patio, the sizzle cutting through the humid air. "She showed up at the shop today," Ian said, flipping a patty. "Looking for you." Jake paused mid-bite. "What did she say?" Ian shrugged. "Asked if you were okay. Said she didn't mean to hurt you like that. I told her to talk to you herself." Jake snorted. "She won't. Not directly." He was right. Emma's next move came via text from a new number. "Jake, I got the papers. Can we just talk? This is too much." He didn't reply. Let her sit with the consequences. The next morning, Jake spotted a new Instagram post from Cassie, a photo of Emma at a coffee shop, staring out a window, captioned, "Rough days, but we'll get through." Comments piled up, friends asking what was wrong, but Emma stayed silent online. Jake didn't linger on it. He drove to a storage unit he'd rented, moving his remaining belongings from Ian's, tools, clothes, a few books. As he stacked boxes, his phone buzzed again. Another text from Emma. "I didn't want this. Please, let's fix it." He saved the message, not for sentiment, but as evidence of her shifting narrative. She was scrambling, and he wasn't surprised. Later that day, Jake met Carla at a diner to review the divorce timeline. "She's got 20 days to respond to the petition," Carla said, sliding a folder across the table. "If she doesn't, we move for default. Your assets are secure, and the lease is hers. You're in a strong position." Jake nodded, sipping his coffee. "What if she fights it?" Carla leaned back. "She can try, but with no kids, no shared property, and your evidence, it's straightforward. She's got no leverage." Jake exhaled, the plan solidifying. He wasn't out to ruin Emma, just to walk away clean. That night, Jake scrolled through Logan's Gym's Yelp page, curious. A new review, posted yesterday, caught his eye. "Logan's great for a quick session, but don't expect follow-through. Ghosted me after a month." It wasn't Emma, but the pattern was clear. Jake checked Logan's Instagram. New posts, no Emma in sight. Just gym shots and a new woman tagged in his stories, all smiles and waits. Jake smirked. Logan was already moving on, just as he'd predicted. Emma's new beginning was crumbling faster than she'd expected. By the 7th day, Emma showed up at Ian's, unannounced. Jake was in the driveway, washing his truck, when her car pulled up. She stepped out, hesitating, her phone clutched tightly. "Jake," she started, voice shaky. "We need to talk." He didn't stop scrubbing the hood. "I'm listening." She shifted, nervous. "I didn't mean for it to go this far. The party, Logan, it was a mistake. I was stressed, caught up." Jake set the sponge down, meeting her eyes. "You planned it. I saw the messages. You wanted him there, not me." Her face froze, caught. "That's not." "I didn't," she stammered. Jake cut her off, calm but firm. "You chose, Emma. I'm just respecting your choice." She stood there, silent, as he went back to washing the truck. After a minute, she got in her car and drove off. Jake didn't watch her leave. He didn't need to. The divorce papers, the empty accounts, her fading social media glow, they were doing the talking for him. Emma was learning what freedom really cost. Jake, meanwhile, was packing for Tampa, his new job starting in a week. He wasn't running. He was building. Each step, each decision, was a brick in a new foundation, one where he wasn't an afterthought. Jake loaded the last box into his truck, the Tampa skyline waiting 280 miles north. It was 10 days since Emma's birthday, and he'd spent the week tying up loose ends in Miami. The divorce papers sat unanswered. Emma had missed the response deadline, and Carla had filed for default. The apartment lease was hers alone, and Jake's name was off every shared account. He'd accepted the Tampa job, a senior mechanic role with a $5,000 signing bonus. enough to cover a deposit on a small lakeside rental. As he locked Ian's duplex, his phone stayed quiet. No texts, no calls. Emma's attempts to reach him had dwindled to nothing. He hit the road at dawn, the highway stretching through palm-lined stretches and open fields. The drive gave him space to think, not about Emma, but about what came next. He'd started running again, not for show, but for the rhythm of it, the way each step cleared his head. At a gas station halfway to Tampa, he checked his email. Carla confirmed the divorce was on track to finalize in weeks, a clean split with no contest. Jake pocketed his phone and kept driving, the weight of Miami falling away with every mile. In Tampa, he settled into the rental, a modest one-bedroom with a view of the lake. He unpacked his tools first, setting them up in the garage, then plugged in a coffee maker. The simplicity suited him. That evening, he walked to the water's edge, the sun dipping low, and called Ian. "Made it," Jake said. "Place is quiet. I like it." Ian laughed. "Good. You hear from her?" Jake paused. "Not since she showed up. She's out of moves." Ian didn't push, just said, "You're doing right, man. Keep going." The next morning, Jake started at the new shop, a bustling garage with a crew that welcomed him like family. His boss, a gruff ex-Marine named Tony, handed him a set of keys to a client's Mustang. "Show us what you got," Tony said. Jake dove in, diagnosing a faulty transmission in under an hour. The work felt good, like a language he spoke fluently. Between jobs, he checked Instagram out of habit. Emma's profile had a new post, a solo shot at a park, captioned, "Learning to start over." No Logan, no Cassie, no party crowd. Comments were sparse, mostly vague encouragement from strangers. Jake closed the app. Her life wasn't his concern anymore. A week later, Carla called. "Emma reached out to my office," she said. "Wanted to negotiate, but it's too late. She's got no legal ground." Jake leaned against his kitchen counter, stirring a protein shake. "What's she after?" Carla's voice was dry. "The apartment's rent is killing her. She asked about your savings." I shut it down. Jake nodded to himself. Emma had assumed he'd bail her out, like always. Not this time. The lease was her burden, and Logan, predictably, was gone. His Instagram now featured a new gym buddy, a blonde in yoga gear. Emma's new beginning had lasted less than 2 weeks. At the shop, Jake's phone buzzed during a break. An unknown number, but he recognized the area code. "Emma." He let it go to voicemail. "Jake, it's me." Her voice cracked through the speaker. "I can't do this alone. The apartment, the bills, I messed up. Can we just meet? I know I hurt you." He deleted it, not out of anger, but because her words were hollow. She wasn't sorry for him. She was sorry for herself. He'd spent years catching her falls, car repairs, late-night talks, covering rent when her gigs dried up. That Jake was gone. Days later, he ran into her unexpectedly at a Tampa hardware store, grabbing supplies for the rental. She stood in the paint aisle, holding a can of primer, her cart half full with moving boxes. Their eyes met, and she froze. "Jake," she said, setting the can down. "You're here." He nodded, keeping it brief. "Just moved in." She shifted, nervous. I'm moving to my mom's. Can't afford the place." Her voice was small, not the confident tone of her party days. Jake didn't offer sympathy. "You'll figure it out," he said, turning to leave. She called after him. "I didn't know it'd end like this." He stopped, but didn't turn. "You chose it, Emma. I just followed through." He walked away, her silence trailing behind. That night, Jake sat on his porch, the lake reflecting the moon. He opened a book, a biography on Nikola Tesla, something he'd bought, but never had time to read. The quiet was new, not heavy like Miami's, but freeing. His phone buzzed once, a late-night text from Emma. "I still love you." He read it, then archived it. Love didn't mean trust, and trust was what she'd broken. He didn't respond, didn't need to. His life was his now, work he loved, a place that felt like his, mornings where he woke up without dread. Weeks later, Ian visited, bringing beers and news. "Emma's back with her mom," he said, cracking a bottle open. "Word is, Logan bailed right after you left. She's posting sad quotes online, but nobody's buying it." Jake shrugged, sipping his drink. "Not my problem." Ian grinned. "You're cold, man." Jake shook his head. "Not cold. Just done." The divorce finalized the next month, a clean break. Jake kept his truck, his savings, his dignity. Emma kept the apartment she couldn't afford, now her mother's address. Months passed, and Jake thrived. He joined a local running club, not to prove anything, but because the trails felt good under his feet. He cooked dinners, simple stir-fries, grilled fish, finding joy in the process. At the shop, Tony promoted him to lead mechanic, trusting him with bigger jobs. One evening, as Jake locked up the garage, his phone lit up with another text from Emma. I wish I'd seen what I had. He read it, then deleted it. Her regret was her burden, not his victory. Jake's peace was his own. He didn't need her apologies or her tears. He'd given her what she wanted, a life without him, and found something better in return, himself. As he stood by the lake, watching the water ripple, he smiled. Not for her, not for the past, but for the road ahead, wide open and his to travel.